This show is brought to you by Eat Healthy. I'm just kidding, bro. Let's get down to business, my friend. It never ends, man. It seems like there's always more, man. Just when I thought I could just check out two stories, two or three with you, I'm finding out there's way more than that, man. Let's get into it quickly, as quickly as I can. Rounds being let off on a home. Here you have it. Where do you think? Montreal, of course. No suspects were apprehended. Another message being sent to somebody's home on the night of Tuesday to Wednesday. Oh, man. Next one. Montreal North. I remember a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two, I told you about a lot of these fires are not occurring anywhere else but the same neighborhoods. But there's one neighborhood that it rarely did occur compared to the others. But here we have it from a few weeks ago. Now it's happening in Montreal North. And not only that, it's saying 10 vehicles were set on fire. 10 of them. Montreal North. For those who don't know, who are not from around here, Montreal North is our hood in Montreal. Well, we got a few of them, but none as notorious as Montreal North. The land of street gangs. And here you have it, boys. 10 vehicles in a parking lot of a commerce in Montreal North, ravaged by fires. And funny, this one's in the Tuesday as well, but now Tuesday, it says in the morning. Okay, no, same times, 2 in the morning. Vehicles on flames. In the sorry about that, the high-profile streets of Lacordaire and Boulevard Industriel. Interesting. I don't know why, but they're saying that in 2019, this newspaper had reported that the vigilance of, I guess, a vehicle repair shop or maybe a dealership. I don't know. It's a commerce, but that the owners of it had reported or allowed to uncover a network of stolen vehicles, luxury vehicles that was running at the time in Montreal and Laval. I don't know why they're reporting on what they're trying. Oh, I see. The vehicles in flame are in the parking of that enterprise. Could this be a message? I don't think so. 5 years later, 6 years later, I don't think so. But they're trying to say that it's happened in the same location. Not same location. The guy who owns this dealership, well, his business in the parking lot, the dealership was being burned. I don't know. Nobody would wait 5-6 years for that. But you ask yourself questions. Is there a link? What is the link? Crazy, man. So 10 vehicles burning in Montreal North. Next one, let's see what they give us. This has to do with Alboivin. Oh, we're not going to hear anything. We're just going to see shots here. Footage, I mean. YouTube, it's footage, not the other word. So I see condominiums, and okay, we're going to read. Organized crime, another big operation targeting Alboivin. Alboivin, one of the two leaders faces of the rebellion against the Hells Angels in the Red Zone, Quebec City and its surroundings. All right, so a big operation that occurred in Montreal and Ottawa to put a term or an end to the criminal activities of the BFM, of which they are saying now that Alboivin took the reins of since the arrest of Ice-Pick Turmel. So if we needed confirmation, we thought that they both had their own organizations and they were working together. Now that Dave Turmel is arrested, they're claiming that he's taking the reins. So, Dave can't run anything. So I guess he got permission. They had a backup plan. And Alboivin, their people are going to be listening to him. He's supplying them, I guess. But there's an operation targeting him. Numerous search warrants and 4 arrests were targeted in this operation. All right, I think we're not going to get anything special here, but this is the stuff that we need to know. So they're saying there was an operation that had launched in July of 2024, last July, basically. And that operation was in numerous locations: Laval City, Saint-Agathe-des-Monts, Montreal, Ottawa, surprisingly. We got Ottawa. We're getting it mixed up interprovincially now. You know, it's rare that I can say that. But it's the first time that me and you are covering a BFM story and it goes up to Ottawa. And then we got Terrebonne. What happened? So they got about $70,000 in cash. They got their hands on 19 cell phones. They seized the green plant, the mushroom thing, you know, and a list of accountability sheet, I guess, where they were writing their numbers because they busted a trafficking network, and a machine for counting money because they were making tons of it. No, they're saying there's two phases to this operation. The first phase, they got 13 arrests, searched 14 residences, seized 10 vehicles. Now, I'm not saying that first phase was on the 23rd of May. Oh, okay, so just like a week or two ago. I'm not sure if we even mentioned it. At this point, I'm lost. And so that was the first phase, and this is the second phase that we are witnessing right now, which is really like, 2 weeks apart. And where are we here? Now, for the second phase, they got 13 arrests. Or wait, is it the same story? Oh, my apologies. It was the two phases. They got the 13 arrests, 14 residents searched, and 10 vehicles. Sorry about that. Where are we? See how quickly my memory fades. And this time, they seized $340,000 of Canadian cash, 13 long arms, a smaller tool, you know, a taser, basically, bear mace, an automatic, how do you call it, automatic shank, whatever that is, and a 4 key of cane and 12 cell phones. I guess this is the second part. 9 people were arrested, but they were released immediately after. Okay, we're going to skip the video. We got the info already reading the text. A bounty still offered. The quote is, once again today, the operation has as goal to end the criminal activities of the group controlled by Alboivin and to proceed to the arrests of his influential members of his group, says the police. Now they're still offering that $250,000 cash for him. All right, and we know that the $250,000 cash for the other guy, Dave Turmel, was a contributing factor for his arrest. Contributing. All right. Next story: fire in a garage in Quebec. They believe that this could be a criminal act. Now, I don't like to jump the gun. We see here an enterprise. Looks like it's maybe it's. No, I was going to say it's a car business, but it's not. Looks like I see some other words here that have nothing to do with cars, like lawn work and stuff like that. But we see it's a business. And so they believe that it's said a man in his 30s was seriously burned. I'm interested in, because they're saying it's criminal. So is this linked to any at all? Can we see any indications? Nothing. Okay. It's in Quebec City. For once, it's not in Montreal City. Next one. This is not Quebec City or Quebec province news, but I thought it was interesting. Don't want to spend too much time on it because of that. Yet, I asked myself some questions. But here you have it. A member of the Red Devils biker club in New Brunswick has been assassinated. 2 suspects were accused for non-premeditated offing. So why it interested me, guys, is we found out recently, and we kind of knew about it, but it was cemented. The reason I'm interested a little bit is because we know that the chapters in New Brunswick, they have members from Quebec. So some bikers from Quebec may have migrated or have migrated to New Brunswick. So it's like almost like interchangeable members, you know what I'm saying? There's a link going up there. So it's Quebec bikers who are over there. And for those who don't have no clue at all, in New Brunswick, there's a French population. And it's not a niche population. It is the population. So there's a thing going there. There's a how you say there's a commonalities. It's easy. You feel at home. Guys here go over there, so you know that there's going to be members of the. It's been confirmed. There's members that were ex bikers from Quebec, Montreal, whatever. They went there, so it's interesting for that reason. And the reason is also the member of the Red Devils was assassinated. I'm interested in if it has anything to do with people down here, or is just a local regional beef type of thing. If that's the second case, I would digress. I can't analyze the landscape over there with no knowledge at all, and it would take way too much time. You see how much work I put in just for the Quebec Montreal and how far we got here? That was through time. So for that one over there, I would need that time, long time, and it's too late by now. But the person is Tony Lajoie Israel, 29 years old, was implicated in an altercation. And they said it was not premeditated. So you imagine he got into a fight in a bar or something like that. It says, licensed establishment. There you go. I didn't even read it. And I could kind of read between the lines, or preemptively. So yeah, it was a bar fight type of thing. I'm not sure. Because anyways, it says Tony Lajoie. Who is this man who got killed? Tony Lajoie was arrested in February 2019 by Quebec police in an operation called Project Oursin. They was targeting a vast distribution network of stupefires controlled by the Hells Angels. They were trafficking stupefires in Île-des-Madeleines, Gaspésie, and Bas-Saint-Laurent. All right. The operation allowed them to arrest, at that time, 2019, 32 suspects, seized 6 keys of cane, 232,000 units of M&Ms, more than $640,000 cash, 23 fire tools. Oh, man, this operation was freaking heavy. 8 vests belonging to the Hells Angels. Or that had this could be up to debate if that's what they mean, but definitely it's vests. But it says harboring the effigies of the Hells Angels. I guess that they literally mean that. So they seized 6 Hells Angels biker patches. Tony Lajoie pled guilty to chiefs of accusations. All of them there was weighing against him at the time, and he got 5 years in spring of 2022. So you wonder, you get 5 years in 2022. In my head, 2022 plus 5 is 2027. We're 2025, So this is the Canadian justice system, where everything seems to work. It's all for appearances. You got 7, but he's literally just got killed in 2025, so it means he was out at a bar. There you go. Next story. Next story is... Okay, now we come back to the main storylines right now. The extortions, which gangs are doing it. First, they said it was Arab Power last year in the summer with the lawyer, extorting the lawyer who owned the building. They burned the building, but they ended up burning the restaurant at the bottom. So it wasn't really the restaurant they were targeting. That was Arab Power. They shot at his house his business, and I think they did shoot at his house. Then we saw numerous video surveillance cameras of like places like beauty salons, and you see 4 or 5 guys. They look like in their early 20s. They're hoodied up, and you could sort of read a little bit. They look Arabic, but it's difficult to see in the video surveillance. And they were burning places in Laval. Those were never confirmed who did it. Me and you are suspicious. And then last week or this month, now we're June, are we? Okay, last month we saw that they burned. There was a bar, Fitzroy, that was getting burned, and the company that was managing it was called something A5, the management company. And then the A5 management company, its employees or managers, whatever, they were getting their homes being sprayed with rounds, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't a fire, it was sprayed by rounds. And that was after they had shot the bar Fitzroy that I told you about. And then I think they did it a second time that same week, or it was another bar, another restaurant that they owned. Yes, it was something like that. Another club that they owned. They went to that club too, and it gets mucky. They get mixed up. There's just too many for me at this point. You realize it. I have a bad memory, and at a certain point, I just get lost, man. I'd have to restudy it constantly to remind myself, refresh the facts accurately. But you get the drift. You get the idea. So that's where we're at with that. But we also had the real estate developer like 3 years ago or so. Forgot his name. It's not Accurso, Tony Accurso, who was linked to the mob allegedly. Even before all these storylines right now that we are at now, we were hearing about. And that's what they were saying in those articles before. Remember, that's a few years ago when they had no real details. They could not give us no real names. And they were saying that Tony Accurso, his daughter's businesses was getting burned. They were trying to extort him when he was inside of prison because he had to go back to whatever, breaking his conditions, whatever that was. And then they re-released him. But while he was in prison, they were trying to extort him again. And then we found out Gregory Woolley. I don't know how, but he got help from Gregory Woolley to go speak to that other gang. And the rumor was that whoever was burning his place, it was being ordered from prison. Does that sound familiar? And then they mentioned that it was a Arab gang doing it. You do the math, and we found out Gregory Woolley went to speak to an Arab gang. That one is 100% confirmed. They called the gang Arab Power, and then when Gregory Woolley went to see them, they told him to F off. They're going to do whatever they want. They don't care about his legend status or anything like that. So even Gregory Woolley said, okay, damn, it's nothing. But he was told to go there and to try to help this old man so this stuff stops. You see, everything is coming in together, all of it. So, okay, we got that out of the way. We got the summary. And now here we are, because it's going to help us. The following articles are all going to be about this. We're getting new updates. First, vast operations by the cops against extortion targeting restaurants, right? So, Operation Wednesday, this time is in Lachine neighborhood. We're in Montreal, western side. 150 police officers have arrested 13 suspects in a case of extortion against restaurants in Montreal. Now remember, when they're talking about restaurants, now I only mentioned to you about bars, right? I told you clubs. I told you beauty salons. But here they are saying restaurants because I forgot. There's just too many. We also found out there was restaurants in the Old Port, and they were also getting somebody going inside those restaurants and then telling them they need to pay, or they would leave them a note, or they would mail them a bullet, things like that, and then they were expecting thousands of dollars of payments. And that was in the Old Port. You remember that? So their circle of activity was definitely the Old Port or the downtown area. Now the downtown area is kind of large, so there's different areas of it. And I sort of personally consider the southwest sector downtown as well. That was not cleared, though. It was never cleared if they were getting extorted. The reason I'm telling you this is without any answers at all. We never received any answers. But I do recall that I've spoken to you a few times where a pizzeria magically was burning in the southwest. And a bar was definitely burning in the southwest as well. And then we get to Griffintown as well. We had either they sent rounds at a restaurant's window or they tried to burn it. I'm not sure which one it is. At this point, that story was like maybe 1 year to 2 years ago. That one. But that one's so far from me, I can't remember. But okay, that's for the restaurants, right? So I want to try to separate them because here they're saying that there was a wave of extortion against restaurants in the Montreal area. Okay. So 13 suspects arrested. Gotcha. Targeting restaurants. Okay. 15 search warrants in 7 neighborhoods or towns, as well as Laval. There you go. I'm already suspicious here. The Lachine one, because they started off with Lachine, so I don't have any clues when the word Lachine comes. West Island, I do have a clue. We also had, this never ends. We've had homes being torched. Remember, we kept having action in the West Island. We had homes getting torched. We also had them spraying homes, and a bunch of times they sprayed homes that was the wrong house. But it happened a lot in the West Island. Now in the West Island, I will completely be suspicious with you. We talked about it to death. We're suspecting Arab Power. Now, Lachine, I guess we're going, since it's in the West, it could be, but we never had a clear indication of that. I don't like to jump to that conclusion. However, here we are. They're saying the cops are targeting a network that was doing the extortions. And here we have the key neighborhoods that I like to hear. Laval, yes. We actually had a Laval that they were burning these Krusty, I think it's called Krusty, I'm not sure. Krusty restaurant. They burned that one once or twice. The owner says I was never extorted, but then why did they burn your house? They didn't just your business. They didn't just come burn your business. He's afraid of saying something. So and Laval was where there was that beauty salon, but that's not a restaurant. So I'm gonna focus on the restaurants. Now here we are. We got the neighborhood. So we the town. We got Laval, good. We got DDO, which is West Island, good. Now this one I can't say anything for. They searched Châteauguay. So these are what I'm leaning on. And this is they're searching, right? So they're going to the members' homes, wherever these members are. They're targeting their home locations to go search them. But already we have two of them right here. The Lachine one, okay, perhaps. But wait a sec. This gets even more interesting because we've never heard about this before. This is a blockbuster for us today, friend. We're going to get part of the answer we never expected. According to our information, the operation was targeting, notably, members of the Irish Mafia. Irish Mafia, guys. So I would have never guessed, but Lachine makes a lot of sense. The DDO makes a lot of sense. These two, but I would have never guessed this in my life. I would have never guessed this. So, for once, we're getting another theory, and it's looking like it's not such a theory. We're getting Irish mob here. Wow, what a rabbit hole we're about to descend into, my friend. I cannot believe this is where we're going. This thing is worse than I thought. Honestly, for our town, it would have been okay, contained as Arab power, street gang stuff. Now you're telling me it's Irish mob too? This goes to another level of debauchery. Montreal is truly turning into Gotham City. Honestly, they're killing me.
Une vaste opération qui veut frapper fort. À Montréal, Laval et Châteauguay notamment, 150 policiers ont été mobilisés.
Same thing that I just told you. Mobilized cops to these places.
Leur cible, la vague d'extorsion qui touche des restaurateurs depuis plusieurs mois.
C'est sûr que des établissements qui vivent des situations comme ça, c'est stressant pour eux, c'est épeurant.
Yeah, people are scared, the restaurant owners, blah,
Donc,
blah, blah, get it.
On est content qu'il y ait de l'action.
De l'action et un coup de filet qui ont permis 15 perquisitions et l'arrestation de 13 suspects.
Yeah.
Aujourd'hui, on s'attaque à pas juste les exécutants, mais bien les personnes qui organisent et qui orchestrent ces types d'infractions-là. C'est une belle...
Now he says, we're not targeting the people who are executing these acts themselves. Now we are targeting the people who are ordering it.
démonstration qu'on est capable de porter un coup dur aux groupes criminels qui s'adonnent à ce type d'activité.
All right. Earlier in the video, I told you there was a restaurant in maybe Griffintown or in the Southwest. I cannot recall, but remember I told you that, and I told you they were either firebombed or they let off rounds at it, and I told you it was either 1 year to 2 years ago. This is the one I was talking to you about. Just by this photo, I recognize it. This is it.
Du quartier Griffintown,
Griffintown, there you go.
A fait les frais. Il a été la cible de tirs l'été dernier.
It was the target of rounds last summer.
Et tout récemment, ce bâtiment du Vieux Montréal a été le théâtre d'un incendie criminel.
And then we got the bill. Okay, they're just giving us a rundown of all of them that happened.
Et ce café a été visé par erreur, victime collatérale de l'extorsion.
Remember last episode, the fire, and they sent these guys to go burn the building that it was, I think, controlled by A5 or upstairs or whatever. They burned the cafe. You remember?
La perte est totale.
C'est absolument inacceptable. On va pas tolérer ça.
Now, I don't know. I don't like that they show these three in particular. It's like, if you're showing us these three, I don't know if the last one was, they said it was Arab with attitude, but now you're talking about the Irish mob raid. So It's unrelated.
des
They were just showing us a bunch of random ones that happened, with no necessarily all of them being connected.
groupes criminalisés fassent de l'extorsion auprès des entreprises à Montréal, c'est inacceptable et intolérable.
They're just saying it's unacceptable.
Face à cette violence, le milieu de la restauration appelle ses membres
Face à
à
cette
parler
violence.
et à briser l'omerta.
Souvent, c'est par peur de
Can't stand it.
représailles, sont gênés d'en parler, ils ont déjà peut-être payé, donné de l'argent à ces gens-là et tout ça. C'est important de rappeler que même s'ils ont déjà donné de l'argent, ça ne fait pas d'eux des criminels. Donc,
So these people may have already paid them once, and just because they paid them once and now they're stuck, it doesn't make them criminals.
c'est important d'appeler la police pareil.
Le SPVM assure que des enquêtes sont en cours dans d'autres dossiers et qu'il pourrait y avoir à nouveau des opérations d'envergure et des arrestations.
Yeah, they're just gonna do the investigation. Sorry for the waste of that one, man. Now look, among the 13 people arrested, 3 suspects aged 25, 34, then 39 would be linked to a series of crimes of extortion targeting owners of 2 restaurants in Montreal, basically. Other individuals arrested were 8 men and 2 women, 28 to 44 years of age. Now here we have it. Targeting 2 distinct groups. Let me guess. So we already got the Irish one there, right? The only option for the other group, distinct group, would be the Arab criminal gangs, street gangs. Let's read and let's find out. In the last few weeks, numerous commerces, restaurants, and vehicles and residences were target of criminal fires and rounds. The SPVM, Montreal Police, have equally revealed the implications of 2 cells independent that would have attempted to disturb these very same restaurants. The members of these cells, they said 2 cells, would be engaging in criminal activities such as trafficking stoop fires. Okay. These search warrants have allowed the cops to put their hands on 3 fire tools, 1 half key of cane, half key of crystal M&Ms, and thousands of units of speed, and $120,000 in cash. That's it. You just cut us off like this. You didn't tell us who these groups are. They just mentioned Irish mob in there, and they said 2 distinct groups. I hate when they do that. All right. Sorry, I was reading the comments, see if we can get something from that. Continuing on that subject, I'll skip this one if it's just some random guy committing crimes or whatever and is a gangster rapper and it says about his court case. I don't care. We're going to skip this because we got way more important things to talk about today. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was. Okay, next. Continuing. Rounds being let off in downtown of Montreal, as well as a fire in West Island. See? Continues. Published today at 7:52 in the morning. Rounds were let off on the night of Tuesday to Wednesday on a building or a home near the intersection of Drummond and Sherbrooke Streets. A vehicle was also torched in the West Island. Isn't that what we just read, perhaps? Seems like it. But yeah, we don't got any more information than that. But you understand this is all going to be related at this point. Let's continue. Now, that place I just told you about, Palma, remember? We just saw in the video. It's coming back to this story. So let's see what they're going to say. Quote, pay us $10,000 per month or we'll explode your restaurant. So, Griffintown. Now, I got to tell you, historically, a long time ago, Griffintown was Irish. But not really anymore. Not at all. Not like that anymore. It's just very historically when I say historically, I'm not saying like 30 years ago. I really mean historically, a long time ago. Let's keep going here. And you see where the name comes from. But now we just heard that it could be linked to the Irish mob. Could. We don't have that direct confirmation. It was sort of insinuated. Let's see. In July of 2024, the owner of Restaurant Palma, situated on Wellington. Now, you gotta remember, Wellington is that same street that crossed back to downtown, where we had the criminal fires last summer, and all the storylines were pointing to Arab power. But we know that they were not the only gang extorting that specific area in the downtown. The rivals, there were another rival street gang, or you could say prison gang or whatever, was also competing for extortion in that area. You also have to know that. So now we're talking about Wellington Street. It goes directly there. You gotta wonder if it's gonna be more them versus thinking it was the Irish one. Let's read. So they were in July 2024. The owner of Palma was a target of an extortion. Suspects asked or demanded $10,000 a month. A month, guys. See what's going on. Close at 5 in the morning on the 12th of July 2024, 5 shots were let off on the windows of the restaurant Palma. When we arrived, there was debris still falling, says the patroller. Projectiles had hit the second floor and the AC system. Shells were found outside. The following day, at around supper time, the following day after that, guys, at supper time, a young man, approximately 22 years old, according to witnesses, entered that restaurant, that very same restaurant that was shot. The following day, this young man entered that restaurant with a bag and demanded to speak to the owner. When he arrived, the suspect gave the bag, saying, "This is a gift." When the owner or manager refused, saying that he does not accept gifts from people that he does not know. The young man then left the restaurant, and he still had the bag on him because the restaurant owner refused it. But as he left he left the store, he left the bag in front of the door. I remember we read this together. Let me guess, there was a bullet inside. Let me guess. So he left, and he put the bag in front of the door. And as he did that, or right after he did that, he took a photo of the bag in front of the door as probably proof for his handlers. And then he left the location. He was not seen. Later on, the manager found the bag, and he looked inside of it. There was a box of shoes. Inside of that box of shoes, he found an empty bottle with a handkerchief stuffed inside of it. The box was emanating a strong odor of something like gasoline, an accelerant. In other words, this was a threat. The manager then called the cops. They opened the bag, and they found a threatening note in English that said something along the line of, "Pay us $10,000 per month, or we'll explode your restaurant." Now, this does not end the story there. Sorry. Yeah, I guess that's what it's saying. The story does not end there. The cops managed to arrest an 18-year-old man. Okay. Now, this is a funny title here. Up to 60 criminals at the same time. Now, the president of this company, the president of the company that owns the restaurant called Palma, that president's name is Moti Meslati, was convoked in front of the authorities for not respecting the law. Or for, I don't know, here's the accusations that he had got before. For acts of violence, presence of criminalized individuals in his establishments or members of organized crime, giving false declarations, how do you say this? Interrupting or obfuscating law enforcement. So when they're trying to do an investigation, you might hide some facts, you might lie about something, you might basically stop them in their tracks. You know what I mean? That kind. So he was sort of like not on the side of the police when they were there. And also overcapacity of the number of occupants at the restaurant. Interesting. So they're trying to paint this Moti Meslati as a shady person. Now, numerous criminalized individuals were observed inside of the restaurant at 137 times during numerous different days since the opening of the restaurant in October of 2022. 137 times since then, the cops were surveilling it and they saw criminals. It's like sort of a hang-around spot. We may have even covered this location before. I cannot recall right now. For something else, I mean, because I do recall we covered it for when that event happened. I might even made a storytelling episode about it, because they're saying Eclipse Squad. There's so many things that remind me here. Now, sometimes officers were able to see up to 50 criminalized individuals entering the establishment at the same time, and sometimes up to 60 in an evening during the Grand Prix in June of 2024. Imagine having 50 bikers or mixed with street gangs mixed with mafia entering that location at the same freaking time. Among its clients, I've observed numerous important actors of the mafia, of the Hells Angels, street gangs, and Lebanese mobsters. So I think I did do the storytelling episode on the restaurant. It might have been this one. Let's continue. Hard to get the images. In October of 2024, an important or influential member of the Montreal Mafia was arrested because he had threatened an officer of the Eclipse Squad of the police inside of Palma. So, they're surveilling this location. They're going to annoy the mobsters, and one of the mobsters there actually threatened an Eclipse agent inside of the Palma restaurant. And here's a quote. "If you were not a police officer, you would not be leaving this corner alive," he would have said to the cop. And he's right now waiting for a court date because of that. On the 14th of March, 2024, a call was made to 911. Okay, yeah, we're going to skip that one. Yeah, these are just like infractions. I want to skip that. Talk about two like brawls that happened there as well, or too many overcapacity of people, things like that. The neighbors also complained that there's an excessive noise coming from that restaurant. Blah blah blah. Yeah, and the cops have been trying to get their license. So basically, it's a hang-around spot, guaranteed for criminal gangs and mobsters and all that. There's no question about it. And our authorities have been trying to, I guess, revoke their license. So they're trying to go to hearings, plead their case, say this is an unsafe location, all that jazz. Then, of course, Moti Meslati, the owner, he reassured the cops that he's doing the right thing, etc. Now, he just declared that he's the only owner of this restaurant, because we're wondering if they're visiting this so many times and all that, do one of these gangs or mobsters actually own the place? So then he had to basically declare that no, this is just my restaurant. I'm a single owner of all this. Like, basically, maybe there's a shadow owner, but he's saying, I'm the only real owner of this location. They just magically, all 50, 60 of them like to hang out here at the same time, all the time. I think we're going to leave it there. But now, saying all of this, and this article ends here, what you need to understand is someone's deciding to extort Palma. Now, if Palma is at the hands of the Montreal Mafia, that means somebody has the balls to extort the Montreal Mafia. They're sending them a message. They're going in and threatening to burn the place. You got to ask yourself, but I'm not saying, but that doesn't seem likely to me. Who would be crazy enough to do that? Well, in these days, everything's believable, I guess. But or are they really just, you know what I mean? Sounds like a shady place. And this shady place is being extorted. That is without question what we can confirm. It's a shady place with shady people, possibly a shady owner, and it's being extorted. Someone's going against this. Someone with a lot of balls if this belongs to somebody else. Or it just doesn't belong to somebody else. Just him. But that leaves a lot of questions. One day we're going to get the answer to this. This is extremely important for us. Let me continue to the next wave of extortions. Is it the same story, man? No, okay, it's not. Just wanted to double check. Wave of extortions. Restaurants attacked by two groups at the same time. So we got restaurants being attacked by two groups at the same time. That was confirmed last summer remember I just told you this restaurant's in Griffintown. In Griffintown, the street Wellington goes to downtown, and I told you that area that goes to downtown, there's a bunch of restaurants that in the vicinity that reported that they were being targets of an extortion, such as Palma. Now those other ones, they attributed it to Arab Power and another street gang. I think they said it belonged to Atnaona or Friends of Jean-Philippe Celestin. Who knows? I can't remember the second one. It's either of the two. So you would assume maybe the Palma one is going to be one of the two. That would be very reasonable based on what we have so far. The fact that it's in that same exact zone. It's too precise. But now, here we are. They're saying two groups are extorting the same restaurants. And last year we did find out that the two groups were extorting the same restaurants. Okay. The owners of two restaurants in Montreal have been targeted in November and this May. And by two criminal groups independent that have no link to each other, it says. Allegedly, they have no link to each other. This astonishing fact demonstrates a untenable situation that are currently living the restaurant business owners. So we know that there was a operation, I think. No, wait, said. Yeah, that's it. There was an operation, and 13 individuals suspected of having participated from close or far to this episode of extortion, which they're talking about these two restaurants in Montreal being targeted by different groups. Here you go. So yeah, we organized crime Irish is in the mix. According to our information, at least two suspects. So they apprehended a bunch of people, right? Well, two of those bunch of people would be tied to the Irish mafia, which could mean that this wave of extortion committed in Montreal and Laval in the last 2 years would not be uniquely attributed to the emerging groups, such as Arab Power or Arab with Attitude. But not because it's not the only emerging groups, emerging in power. It's also it means that it's to a well-established group, the traditional Irish mafia. In the southwest of Montreal, the individuals tied to the Irish mob are close friends to the mafia. Now, since the beginning of these waves of extortions for the last 2 years, we hear often the following names. Good, this is what I want. Arab Power, Arab with Attitude, Tupac. So that's Atnaona. Remember I told you Atnaona? Well, I thought maybe it was the two groups that were extorting at the same time. We found out last summer. It was Arab Power, and I told you there was another group. Well, I guess it's going to be Atnaona's group, because they're saying Tupac, that's his nickname. And then we got Rolling 90s. This is the West Island gang, and last summer we had that shooting in the park. not in the park, in the West Island neighborhood. That family dad that shielded their children because one Rolling 90s member got into an argument with someone else. They started shooting at each other. Cops arrived, and there was a drive-by between him, a shooting between him and the cops, and the family was dead in the middle because the guy was trying to hijack their car. Something like that. Remember that one? That was a Rolling 90s person. And then if you remember, the Arab Power leader, the reason he's in prison now is that he was a conspiracy to commit murder, or he had just committed murder. They were following him around, and he disappeared, and then he came back, and they caught him on tape with Rolling 90s leader walking side to side, clearly talking about some serious ish. And they caught a picture of them, of those two, a classic picture. I used it in the thumbnails. You could see it. He was with the Rolling 90s leader, and that Rolling 90s leader got charged with. He was definitely charged with two other people for going to Ontario and killing that Hell's Angels. You see, this stuff all connects, and it gets crazy, man. You see what I'm saying here? This thing, Montreal's turning into Gotham City. So here they're telling us, to the beginning of the wave of extortions in the last 2 years, we often hear the following names: Arab Power, Arab with Attitude, Tupac, Rolling 90s, Zone 43, the Greeks of Chomedey. Chomedey is in Laval, so they're saying the Greeks of Chomedey. First I hear about this. But the operations Wednesday morning demonstrate that the well-established criminal groups would also be behind the extortion committed at licensed establishments. Based on the fact that out of the 13 people they arrested Wednesday in this police operation, 2 of them were part of the Irish clan. Gets interesting, man. I told you with time we're going to get a better, bigger picture, and as you're finding out now, the fact that with time we will be surprised as the picture emerges. It will not be obvious to us. That's something that I'm discovering right now. It's slapping me in the face. I would have never guessed this one. Irish Mafia. I would have never guessed this one. So let's continue. Now, the police are doing what they can. The problem is the people or criminals inside of prison have more rights than us, confided the secret source that's giving this information to this newspaper. Because you know, right? As it's saying here, it says because it seems that a lot of these orders are coming from people inside of prison. They're able to do all of this. Welcome to Canada, That's what happens when you don't take you got no, honestly, you don't have a death penalty, and they can keep going over and over like this, pushing the bounds, keep going, and without mercy and anything. You have no death penalty, you have no torture, you have nothing in this but tickling them in the stomach and then feeding them. What do you think is going to happen at a certain point? Now, I'm not encouraging any of those forms. I just want to make you realize that if we keep tickling people, what do you think is going to happen? It's gonna be like this. We got the results of our softness to all this. This is just the result, Talk about human rights, and you releasing someone who committed, who has 2 bodies, and you releasing them after 5 because his 12-year sentence, he was good and he was well behaving, and then they come out. Anyways, you get stuff like this. It's like the 3rd time or 4th time that he's in a high criminal, violent acts, things like that, and you releasing them. Of course. What do you think he's going to do? He can't find a job. He got nothing else. And it was continuing here. Presently, we are noticing a rise in crime in link to extortion. It is effectively that there are numerous criminal groups of all allegiances that are partaking of this crime. Now, the 2 cells that we've dismantled, we cannot presently say that they know each other. They were entirely independent, according to us. They had no links among each other. Of course, this is again the police opinion so far. These are two independent cells that have attacked owners of these restaurants, of these two restaurants. But how is it possible that the exact same restaurants are getting targeted by two different groups that don't know each other, that have, quote, no link with each other? There's so many restaurants out there. How come they've targeted the exact same one? Pure coincidence? There's an answer to this. Maybe they're not linked, these two, but there's a reason that restaurant got it from both of them. Could be because of the location. There's something going on. There's an answer. Now, it says currently we don't want to give you a motive, a specific motive. But for now, there is no indication that led us to believe that the victims themselves are nothing more than innocent. Continuing. Repeated attacks, rounds being let off, fires being set off, threats. These are some of the things the two owners were targets of between November of 2024 to May of 2025. Among these events, let us note that a criminal fire was made on a vehicle in February. Rounds were let off on the restaurant called Universal, situated in Sainte-Catherine West and Bleury in the downtown. 11 days later, and rounds were let off on a residence of one of the owners on the 25th of March. See? Like I told you, sometimes we read these events, like I do in the beginning of the episode. I read to you that, what was it? A home was targeted, and then we have no other information. And then we're going to just forget about it. Well, here's one of them that we forgot about it. That we must have read together. On the 25th of March, they had one of these homes that we had no clue what it was about, was dry like that. It was one of these guys' homes. So they're targeting homes of restaurant owners. We got finally one bit of our answers to the completely random homes being targeted. You got one of the answers here. It's not even a possible answer. It is one of the answers right there on our face. With time, all our questions get answered. This is amazing. Okay, where are we? Okay. In total, the investigators of the Eclipse multi-sectoral dedicated firearm EFAF and where are we here? So they did 15. Yeah, that's the same story. Among the people arrested Wednesday morning figured, we got names here. Among the people arrested Wednesday morning were the names Jason Eugene Bober, 41, from Lachine. You got Jeremiah Caterson Sampson, 32. You got Tyrell Hugh Lashley Ferguson, 27. From Dollard des Ormeaux, we got Cassandra Boudreau, 25. From Montreal, we got Géraldine Cater Sampson, 25. From Lachine. So these are the people. I don't recognize any of the names. Three of them, Bober, Jeremiah, Caterson, Sampson, these are long names. Lashley, Ferguson were accused at the courthouse of Montreal. Where are we at? The suspects arrested were from a superior level. We are speaking here of people who organized the crime. But they were not the executors, so they're not the ones committing it. It's basically like the video. Jason Eugene Bober, considered, according to our sources, as one of the principal suspects, has a big background. In 2013, he was condemned to 3 years of prison for possession of a tool and for plotting. Bober was arrested with 7 other individuals in an investigation led by the SQ in collaboration with Peacekeepers of Kanawaki. The officers have dismantled a network of traffickers that was operating from the Mohawk territory and seized 42 firearms. More recently, Bober was condemned to probation of 3 years and 120 hours of community work and pled guilty to chiefs of accusations for assaults and not respecting his conditions. So which group he belongs to? Maybe it's the Irish mob. I don't know. I'm just trying to reread it to see if I missed something. Let's continue. I'm just trying to skip what's not necessary. Yeah, they're saying that there was a calmness between autumn to winter, and about tens of bars, restaurants, and commerces were targeted by rounds. So there was a little lull. During autumn, and they're saying winter. I don't even remember this lull, honestly. Seems like it's been nonstop for us here. But he says after the lull, it started to catch heat again. But I guess he's right, because summertime, as you're seeing, it's going back up like crazy. I guess it's right. Now, this spring, numerous attacks targeted the enterprise A5 Hospitality that saw 3 of its establishments and residences, and a residence of one of his administrators targeted. We are asking to everybody to help us out. You got the picture. Wow, what a heavy update it is today. That was a tough one. I don't know what to say. It never ends, I thought I could take a break from all this, but yeah, what do I know, man? Eventually we're gonna find out what the hell is going on. Right now, it's just the beginning of getting some answers. They arrested a bunch of people, and we're gonna find out. It's not just Arab Power. This thing is getting so complicated. It's never ending. I wonder when things will finally calm down, because I've been reporting on this, or just translating, honestly. All I do is translate this from French to English for you, so you can figure it out. And I don't know anything. I don't pretend to know anything. I'm just trying to figure it out just like you. But instead of doing it for myself, I translate it so you can know what it's saying here. It's the best that I can do for you. And then through time, I try to remember for you what I've been reading. It's really difficult. There's just so many facts, And look, I'm reading like 10 articles a moment tonight, and I try to remember what I read a year ago when I read 10 articles at that time and translated them with names and facts. It's almost impossible. I do my best, but I think it's paying off. It's paying off slowly but surely, with surprises, nasty surprises. Anyways, I'll let you guys go right here, because I'm dead. Honestly, I just wanted to do like 20 minutes. If I could have, I would have liked to do 20 minutes. But 1 hour, it's a lot, bro. It's a lot. And I'm kind of sick of doing 1 hour. But I don't do it on purpose. It's just, it's the process. The process takes time. I read this, I try to understand, and I try to talk to you guys. What can I say? Anyways, all right. I guess I'm gonna call it a day, guys. I appreciate you. And let me just see. Pat Dagenet, shout out. Mr. J, Triple N, Zachary Mitchell, Great Mozart, Brent Fleury, Hick Kid 420. Ils ont commencé à jouer avec Gregory Woolley. Oh man, I don't know what we're talking about here anymore. Lucifer, Word of the Day, CEB, Sleeping Joe, Great Mozart. Man, I think, where are we? Anna Jonda, Great Mozart. Anybody else that I miss? I always forget Man in the Middle, The Youth. I'm trying. Wes Dozer, all the members too. I always forget to give you guys a shout out to. But yeah, I appreciate your help, man. I appreciate your help, and everybody else too. If I forgot to name you, it's just because I have a really bad memory. I'm not good at remembering on the spot, especially when I have to remember them. I'll probably remember it. I'll remember a few names later by myself. But yeah, don't think that just because I didn't call you out that I don't appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and God bless. Have a great day, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.